Crafty friends, welcome to the Mint Owl Studio channel. This is Jess and I will be sharing a Mother's Day card with you today featuring the Love for Mom stamp set. It's part of the April release, and as you see it includes quite a few different really pretty florals, and I'm just going to be using one of the floral stamps for today. I'm going to be doing a repeated image stamping, and I am working here on a card base. It's a thick 110-pound card base, and I'm going to be doing some stamping and embossing and inking all right there on the card base to keep a nice simple one-layer card with the addition of some sequins at the end. I am stamping in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is a wet sticky pigment ink, which means that it will hold clear embossing powder, but it also means that it is waterproof, and I will actually be mostly taking advantage of its embossing properties today. You could, of course, just stamp it down in the black ink without the embossing, because I'm not using an emboss resist technique. I'm just using it to create really crisp images. When I apply my distress ink over top of this, if I did not add the embossing, it could make the images, the black images, a little bit more dull. The color layered on top, the ink layered on top would take back from it a little bit. But when you do the clear embossing, that does cause a little bit of a resist with the distress inks and make sure that those black lines stay nice and crisp. So that's why I'm choosing to emboss here. And as you can see, I keep my clear embossing powder in a big tub so that I could sprinkle it right over the whole card and make everything quick and easy to do. And I am choosing to use clear embossing powder because I find that black embossing powder has a tendency to kind of go where you don't want it to, even when you use a static bag. And also that it's a lot harder to see where you're stamping when you stamp with a clear ink. So I can see perfectly where I'm stamping when I stamp in the black and cover with clear embossing powder. Now for today's inking technique, I'm going to use distress inks, and normally with distress inks I would use the foam ink blender from the Distress line. However, I wanted to try something different. I've been noticing that these stencil brushes have been really popular lately, and there are some more expensive ones, but I thought that I would start with a cheaper version of the brushes. These are the Martha Stewart stencil brushes, and see if I like the effects and techniques and see how it all goes first. So I have my distress inks, and I picked a lighter and a darker color for each of the flowers. I am using the cracked pistachio in the background of the blue ones, and then I'll be layering on some peacock feathers. For the pink, I am starting with picked raspberry and layering on abandoned coral. In order to apply it with the stencil tool, I find that I need to try to get a decent amount of ink onto my brush. And so that means that I want to really swirl it around inside of the ink to get a lot of ink on the brush. And then I start tapping the brush to the paper. You can tap or swirl, and you see that I use a little bit of both. However, I'm trying to keep my swirling mostly to when I'm adding the base color, because when I add that darker color, I want to get the texture of the tapping. You'll see in a close-up photo at the end that when you tap it on, you see the bristles of the brush, and you really get to get some interesting texture to the flowers. Now, I'm not trying to stay inside the lines. I am very intentionally going outside of the lines with the stencil brushes. And I'm also finding that I don't need one brush for every color, that being in the color families is enough because the stencil brush doesn't hold on to that much ink. And I can simply, because this is a water-based ink, dip it in some water and clean the brush off very easily so that I can switch colors. I'm trying to decide on a third color here, so I have gone to my color wheel. I like that it kind of shows me some ideas. You see there that that triangle points to different color combinations that work really well. A lot of times I'll use an online color wheel too, so if you have trouble picking out colors, that might be a useful tip for you. So here I'm cleaning off the brush again, ready to add my third color. And I am going to do a purple. I thought that I would do a light milled lavender, but I'm finding that that's not working. When I want to lay down more color, I generally try the swirling first, because that gets a lot more color on there a lot faster, where the tapping definitely takes some more time. However, it doesn't give as interesting of effect. So keep that in mind. Kind of experiment and play around a little bit with these brushes. And they're called stencil brushes because they're meant to be working with paint and going through a stencil. However, I found that you can do some fun things outside of that with them. And so I decided to switch to milled lavender for the light color and dusty concord for the dark color here. Or sorry, seedless preserves is the darker color, I believe. And then once I had all those flowers inked, I was ready to add some sequins. There are a lot of different sequin packs available in the Mint Owl Studio shop, and I like that each one comes with a variety. There's no just solid packs, because I never find myself using a whole pack of sequins except for maybe like the clear sequins. So having a couple different pinks in one pack, that Hearts and Kisses mix actually has some hearts and some plain sequins in it. And then the Royalty mix down at the bottom with the purples has some dark purples, light purples, reddish purples. And then I thought about using the Mint Owl mix because I thought there might be a blue-green that would work well, but a lot of them are definitely a little bit more towards the green side. So I had to skip out on that. However, in the Mint Owl mix, there are just some clear ones. So again, having a bunch of different options in one pack to me was really beneficial. And so I'm just using a little squirt of multimedia matte to adhere down my sequins, and that is it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are interested in more crafting tutorials featuring Mint Owl Studio stamps, be sure to subscribe to this channel and follow us on social media to stay up to date with all the new releases and new products. And thanks for watching. Bye.